fault out, but just had to do this stuff.
Yeah, sure. Time is rude.
That's why that looks about every now.
Okay, we'll call the April 4th, 2016 Manchester meeting order.
Crow? Sure.
Here.
Paul?
Here.
Asperger? Barron?
Okay, are there any public comments? Seeing... No, we have you on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to county farm issues.
We've been paid for rent.
We got paid the first installment.
No, it's 100%.
Oh, it's all 100%?
It's all due by March 1st, 100% of the rent, and it was paid on March 1st.
On what one? I thought they didn't have it when we had our meeting a month ago.
No, he came in, I think, was our meeting on March 1st? Yes. Well, no, that was Tuesday. Our meeting was February 29th,
Oh, okay. All right.
and I think he walked in 10 minutes after the meeting, quite frankly. I know it was that day or the day it was due, and he hand-carried in a check.
I remember the question whether the rent was here then and the was.
Yeah, it was not here last month, but it was paid on time.
Glad to see it.
Anybody else got anything on farm management? I don't. All right. Garbage disposal contract comes due in July. We sent a letter to the disposal company notifying them that we were going to cancel the contract, discontinue the contract as of the effective date, because they have a clause in there. If you don't do that so many days ahead of time, it automatically renews. So it won't automatically renew. So probably next month we need to send out for bids so we can approve them in June and have it ready for July. Anybody got any other questions on that?
Can't hear you.
I said, do we want to go ahead and do that now, or is it really too early?
Do what?
Send out, let the bids for the garbage.
It's probably early. If you send it out too soon, sometimes they set it aside and
Forget about it.
What time you say it's up? What date?
it's July.
July 1? April, May, June. That's a little bit early.
Yeah, if we do it next month, that gives us then they come in the following month, and then they have a month to get set up for it. If that sounds good to everybody. All right. Head Start proposal for garden space. Why don't you go ahead and present what you are wanting to do.
My name is Amy Bell. I am the family advocate here at the Head Start here in the building. With me, I have the Chief Executive Director of Head Start, Odette. Hi, Watson. And then my supervisor, Tina Albert. And then we also have the food program, the Your Food Farms from Sheldon. They are these people that come in. They do come in. They work with our kids every month. They're the ones that are going to do the program with us, gardening program with us. So we're not alone in it. We do have professionals. But we have requested about an 18 by 18 spot out next to our playground and across from our shed there to do it. We're planning on putting it in boxes, planter boxes. So it won't be, we're not going to be digging into the ground. We'll bring that stuff in. All that stuff will be donated. It's going to be kept out by us, the staff, the children will help us, and they're going to also help us do this. And it's a learning opportunity for the children to actually be able to see what happens when we plant, grow, water, and how we go about doing all of this to being able to actually eat it. So the children will be able to get the stuff that we grow, and they'll be able to try that and be able to have new foods that they may not get. They may not get at home, because most of our parents and our children are low-income families.
Anybody got any questions for them?
Well, I think the concept is excellent. However, there are some questions, and ours are, for me, it's basically concerns that I have from my own experience. My weeds get ahead of me. Can we get a mower between these? That would be important.
Well, I did talk to Mr. Hall on that,
Okay.
and he's okay with it. He said he would just like to have it mulched between them, and he said he has access to mulch and would do it free of charge. So,
Mr. Who?
Hall, the mowing service.
And as for the weeds, if you look at the last page, it's actually a picture of the actual planter box. Now, what we'll be doing with the kids is basically like dense planting, so we'll be very
Inside pallet-made boxes and stuff like that. You won't have the native weeds growing. That's part of tending garden is weeding, but as far as being overcome by weeds, there shouldn't be an issue with that one there, since we're building the planter boxes, bringing in the other soil.
And then, at the end of the season, when everything's done, would you leave those out there all winter? And
The boxes should definitely be up there, and make it easier for the next season going on, leaving the planter boxes there instead of deconstructing and reconstructing. But if we, the way the designs that they come up with using the pallets and everything else, it should be pretty easy to put together, and if for some reason something happens where it's just not working out, it should be pretty easy to remove. In worst case scenario, you may have to reseed an 18 by 18 patch of grass. We're not digging or killing, not planting anything, any invasive flower or weeds or anything like that that will become or take anything else.
trellising will also be provided as well, which also controls how the plant grows, your abundance tomatoes, cucumbers growing all over the place. Trellising is, if you guys don't know, if anybody has questions about trellising.
should go 10 down.
You can do that. I've seen, we have a wall of cucumber ones, so you can like stand and do all your cucumber.
When do you want to be planting? Are you planting from seed, or are you starting the seeds inside and then planting the plants?
That will be one of the projects. We'll be doing our seeds indoors with the kids, and then we'll probably bring them back to our property so they can go on the seed lake, and then
Control the environment,
Right.
let them start from seed, just like we do. Plant
And
these
match
cells,
them
and
with
bring
your-
them back, put them, when germinate them, grow them on, next one you come back in, this is where we're at with it, some needs to be ready to go to the ground, and, take them all from seed to feed, take them from planting it to growing it to eating it.
We probably won't get it approved this month, so if it's approved in May, that is soon enough for you, assuming it gets approved.
Well, if it gets approved, then we'll, starting it whenever, and then continuing it for years, so.
As long as it can be started somewhere, it can be cycled through.
Okay, Mr. Alt.
I technically want to know, is this outside what is presently leased?
Yeah,
Would this require a separate lease or attachment to the lease?
that would be something we would have to
It's
discuss.
got to be a legal matter.
Right, and there's some other things we
If
probably,
somebody stumbles and falls and breaks the leg
and that's
over
where,
pumpkin vines, feeling it late at night, you want to know who's responsible for it.
well, and that's where we will need to get with Mr. Devine on some of this stuff, just to make sure he's on board with it. Yes, Larry?
During the summer month, when it's the active growing, and you guys are on break, who takes care of it?
Miss Linda will still be here, and then myself and the other two teachers also said that we would continue to work with it. And so
We've agreed to put in, you know,
and they also
some time
said
into
that
it
they
well
would
whenever
still kind
possible.
of do it also.
I guess what I'm thinking is, the main growing season, the kids are not gonna be here.
And that was one of the issues that, you know, we had sort of discussed and went over, but we can still cycle it in to where like the one class can actually start some of the transplants and plant the seeds that, you know, some of the other classes start growing. We also can rotate in some of the cooler crops, you know, by timing different, certain crops grow fast at different seasons, lettuces, radishes,
Those radish,
you know.
lettuce, spinach.
We can, you
Are
know,
the
even
kids
with
gonna
that
eat
going
these?
here, the worst part is they, you know, they do miss the best, you know, the best garden month
Yeah,
of
we're gonna
it, you know. We're hoping that we can sort of cycle that in and bring that, you know, into properties like they were saying, to the food pantry.
Nothing will go to waste.
Are we gonna have to get public health involved in this?
I wouldn't see why. We use them all organic growing practices, but as you know, we can't throw around the word organic or natural growing practices until you can get certified and approved. We'd be more than willing to open anything up to you, show you what our practices are, and the Omri-approved chemicals and substances that we
Well,
use.
I believe you, but right now, you can't cook in that kitchen unless there's something wrong with Watsika schools. So you don't have a license to cook, if you will. I guess what I'm thinking is, are we going to be liable for the vegetables and the kids eating them? I mean, we have to get public
Because
health.
it's not ready-made food, because it's going to be coming from the dirt and being washed, and do you guys have a food sanitation?
Yes, but
We
we all
do.
feel
I have one as well.
Yeah.
I'm farming, I have one.
We can't cook in our kitchen because we don't have that license for it.
Right.
They do inspection for us. We are all licensed. But I think we'd be okay because it's ready-made. It's not
It's
something
not
that-
processed.
It's
That's
not
what we're
processed.
looking for.
It's
It's
not
not
something that we have to cook from a
But
raw
that's a good question,
to
it's a really good question, actually.
a done.
And it's not part of our meals. We still are going to provide the meals. This is just a taste test experience for the
We're
children.
growing like colorful carrots, yellow, purple, red. I mean, really getting the kids involved, knowing the colors of the food, the vitamins in the food.
And not trying to go above and beyond what, you know, is becoming actual common practice in educational programs, you know, today. I mean, there's a big push towards, you know, educating our kids into the foods that we, you know, our generation ain't growing up on a grandma's garden and everything else, not the, you know, processed, shipped in green tomato.
I understand, I was just asking some questions.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm trying to answer them, boy, I don't
But I
know
never
if
saw
it's
your
best or
question.
anything else, get me talking and I'll go. You know.
Okay,
what-
Charlie?
Will this involve a sprinkling system over the top of it?
No. They said they have access to water and hoses not far from there, so it'll be all hand water.
Well, you have a hose coming out from the building out to it and sprinkled from it, or?
I wouldn't suggest using this for a sprinkler system. One of the things is watering the plant, so I can go out there and anything gets hand watered via hose and nozzle.
Ooh, and the kids are watering it.
What?
Wouldn't be possible.
Who would be watering?
Other than kids?
But the hoses would all have to be put up, and
Yeah.
we couldn't have any obstruction of,
There's no plan for, you know, in-place irrigation.
We will have 2 staff members working here during the summer months, and whatever the stipulations are from the board, we will make sure that we're compliant with that.
Jean?
This is outside the present fencing.
Yeah.
Do we have to fence that then for the children's safety? And if so, who's responsible for that cost?
That would be another Jim Devine question, see what he thinks our liability is on it and stuff like that. I know if there is a fence required, it's not in our budget. So,
Would there be any way to treat it, I mean, like instead of writing a lease out for this section of property, the Head Start program or whatever, you could almost treat it like a weekly field trip session or something like that. They could be visiting an Iroquois County property, you know, learning about Iroquois County and the main source of income for Iroquois County, which is farming.
that's a Jim Devine question.
I think you're stretching the word visit.
You know, we want to make sure everybody's covered on this. So, any other questions?
So I've sort of made a little list here. You guys help me remember, please. We're talking about increased space, the ability to terminate the program should it not work out, fencing, weeds and water, and I guess foot traffic and liability. Did I leave anything out that we've discussed?
I think that, well, and there was a health department question, but that's probably not an issue, but never hurts to ask.
According to the plan she's put together, the benefits do outstretch the Head Start program. They do go into benefit other aspects of the community, as far as society.
Is this being done in other Head Start locations? Do you know?
We do have other Head Start programs throughout the county that will do not as detailed planting, but that is a part of our science curriculum, where we do planting of seeds in the classroom and allow the children to watch germination and just watch the whole phase of a plant growing. And then we also expand into plants without light being given versus a plant that have lots of light. So it is done mostly with flowers. This is our first time in actually adding that additional sensory experience of tasting what is grown. So it will just be such a rich experience, academic experience for the children.
You said in other locations. That's what I wanted to know. Do you have another garden setting in any of the other Head Start locations?
Yes, yes.
Are in the county?
Not in, it's in Ford County actually. It's a garden that we have flowers planted, and in Vermillion County we have also gardens that are planted.
Are those on government properties or private properties?
They are on private properties. Majority of our Head Start centers are collaborations with other partners within the community.
So then you travel to the private, you take the kids to the private properties, or your facility, is it beside your facility, right at your facility?
It is directly beside the facility, more likely nearby the playground, and it's just something that the children and the parents get involved in nurturing, and it's an experience for that Head Start Center.
And do you have agreements with those entities?
No.
Or is it just a...
We just asked permission and started, got an area to plant flowers. So this by far is very detailed, but you know, we respect whatever procedures you have to go through in order to get that done. So you understand.
Okay, any other questions?
I wish not to take up much more time, but I've got some information I would like to share with you about the Head Start program. If you would give me 2 minutes, is that
Sure.
okay? Fantastic. My name is Odette Hyatt Watson, and I'm the Chief Academic Officer for the Head Start program. And we do serve 34 Head Start children and families in Iroquois County, specifically at Watsika site. And then in the Gilman area, we serve 20 children. Then all in Iroquois County, we serve 54 children. And these are children that are either in a home-based setting where the teacher goes into the home and provides the academic information. We serve pregnant moms and children up to the age of 3 in a home-based setting. And then we also provide academic enrichment in a classroom setting like what we have here in this building. If I could please have you just breeze through very quickly to give you an idea of the type of services and the outcomes that we provide. Our children academic growth, if you look at page 25 in this particular booklet, you will see some outcomes of children that we have served in the last program year. So that was September 2014 through August of 2015. And you can see that in the, on page 26, you will see that we have school readiness goals. And we assess the children 3 times per year to see what are their growth in attaining school readiness goals. So we meet with the principals in Iroquois County, in Ford County, and in Vermain County to find out what are some of the skills the children need before they enter into kindergarten. And we don't take anything for granted. Some of the goals that you see listed on here are specific goals that principals have requested that our children be able to know before they enter into kindergarten. So what we provide in this building by far is not daycare services. It is strictly academic enrichment, social enrichment, and then we also have a wellness piece attached to the Head Start program where we do dental screening, dental follow-up, health screening. So we make sure that when a child goes through the services here, they not only leave here ready for kindergarten, but there are other aspects that we have worked with them. We work with children that have special needs on individual goals. We work with families to even set goals. So I just want to kind of give you a bird's eye view and also some data to look over in your leisure time, if there's any such thing like that anymore. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to come back and answer any questions that you may have. Then there are other services that the agency provides families in Iroquois County, including energy bill assistance, including small loans, including emergency assistance. And then the local pantry here in Iroquois County contacted Amy for some of the families that were affected by the flood. And our agency pulled together food drive and was able to help out that particular pantry. So partnering with the community, with Iroquois County, is incredibly important to us. We see the fruit of our labor, as you can see in our data, as far as how our children are progressing. And I said 2 minutes, I probably took 3, and I thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have one more quick question off of the, how is your funding with the budget situation in Illinois? Are you federal?
We're strictly federal, so we are not affected by any means. Money comes straight from the Fed. If changes occur, but at this moment, for the past 51 years, our money comes directly from the Fed.
Okay.
So we were not affected. However, there are other programs that were affected. The Energy Bill Assistance Program comes through the state. So we did have some difficulties there. But otherwise, Head Start, pretty solid stream of funding.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You can stay or you can leave, it's up to you.
We'll go with this. No
Thank
other,
you, guys.
no other
Thank you.
questions.
Okay, appreciate
Thank you
your
for
time.
letting us go. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Does anybody else have anything on the Head Start?
Are we gonna have Mr. Devine at our next meeting to talk about this?
We'll probably, we can have him come, but probably ahead of time, which maybe Wednesday we'll try to corner him at the judicial meeting and at least give him a heads up on it. But yeah, we want to make sure all the legal issues are in line. And if it's outside of the fence while we're redoing things, does that require extra rent?
A lot of issues involved here,
Yeah,
more than just,
because if they're using more space and you don't charge more rent, then that doesn't seem fair to others. But then I know they made a comment last month when we went down there that I don't think they have much in their budget to pay for it. So, and do they use their whole playground? Because I don't know, if you're doing a raised bed, that could be on top of the pavement and not make any difference.
especially if they just wanted to put a few in to begin with,
Yeah.
build up from there. A lot of possibilities.
All right, well, now you guys can think about it. AT&T contract. Have we started, have they, on that? Okay.
No, remember that it was, I pushed them to get 60 days advance notice, so that would be May 1st would be the time they wanted, it's July, effective July 1st, so they don't want to hear from me and won't give me a quote prior to May 1st anyway. So I'm going to send them an
Okay.
email around May 1st.
So,
Yes, that's wrong. It says May 31st on there, that
Okay.
contract, and it's July 1st. When I called
Okay.
them, I thought I had mentioned that last month. When I called them to verify with them, they told me, no, it's July 1st is the end date.
Okay. You may have said something. Okay. And then, as soon
Donna,
as we,
did you have a question?
I'm just remembering in the past, I got quotes from here and quotes from there, and the comparisons were, quite cumbersome to compare and everything. So now, because it's there, they're setting the time frame, so we can't start this process any earlier due to they won't talk to us about it until then.
Right.
And are you still in contact with that fellow who told us, he more or less did the comparisons last year, and when you told him our rate?
2 years ago,
2
that
years.
guy from KC, that
Yeah.
PNG,
Who
I have
said-
not talked to him since then.
Who said you're not gonna, you're good?
Oh, that was an analysis from Clifton Larson Allen.
That's right.
Our accounting firm, our auditing firm has a branch that comes in and does that for us, and they had told us that the rates that we're paying are very, very good.
That was helpful to me.
Right.
To understand that from
Right, and
somebody
outside,
who sees that all the time.
right, and has no vested interest,
Right,
not a provider.
right.
All they do is go in and audit and try to find you better rates. That's all.
with that being said, with a budget of $43,800 for phones, does it have to be bid out? Is that over the,
Well, this particular contract is $1,200 a month, and I don't know that phone service
okay, because of what it is?
is a utility.
Okay,
I don't know. You would have to ask Jim to find that. It's never,
Never been bid out.
It's never, right.
well, we've gotten quotes.
We've
or-
gotten quotes before, but I'll tell you, the difficulty now is that this contract is the Centrex contract. Those are old, that's very old technology. And you're not finding people to do that. And in fact, I think I was told, and I thought I had reported that here, that AT&T is going away from this old phone technology. They don't want it. People don't want to maintain it. So just getting them,
So what are we going to have to do? Are we going to have to upgrade something within the building, or is it just their line coming in that's got to be upgraded?
well, what most phone companies are doing is moving to the voice over internet, which is what we did for the bulk of our lines, many of our lines. Maybe, I would say it's probably 50% of our lines. These lines go to highway. We didn't run voice over internet out there. They are all of 911 and the sheriff's department. And years ago, right, they wanted it that way. They did not,
They didn't want voice over internet. Do you remember the reason?
there were issues, I hear stories, and again, I wasn't here, but I think it had something to do with a phone service other than AT&T, maybe Larry knows. Remember when, it was before I got here, there was a phone company that they switched to from AT&T trying to save money years and years ago, and it was nothing but trouble.
Right.
There were like no phones in the building, and at that point in time, they
There was
moved.
crackling, and there was all kinds of missed calls, dropped calls. You know.
I think that goes back to when Harriet was chairman of management. It was a nightmare.
And so they at that time moved to these Centrex AT&T lines, and they've been there ever since. So, and then the fax line. The fax lines are on there because fax doesn't work well with voice over internet at this point in time. Remember, we did that a year ago. Moved a bunch of the fax lines over to voice over internet. It just, if you have multiple pages or a page with a lot of printing on it, it just does not work well on the voice over internet. So those fax lines are on the Centrex bill.
You know, I'm just wondering what we're going to do like in 5 years when, because I've heard that the phone companies want to do away with landlines, period. They don't want to maintain the lines, and that
Right.
they're on track to do that.
Well,
That'll be reflected in our bids.
I guess, and the good news is, as soon as we get done with that, then long distance is due in September. Or, no, that's that's 2 years, I guess. We're okay on that.
Yeah, we just did long distance 6 months ago.
Okay. All right.
It'd be a good idea to have Cliff and Marshall Allen look at the quotes or whatever that we get from AT&T to see if their rates are reasonable, if we don't get prices from anyone else.
I don't know if there's anyone else that can give us prices.
But either way, do we want to know that we're not being taken to the cleaners?
We might want to see what the quote comes in at. The issue with Clifton Larson Allen is they were trying to sell us a service where they do that, and actually what came out of it was, after looking at our rates, was you don't want to buy this service because you're getting good rates, much better than what we've seen anywhere
So
else.
Clifton Larson Allen did that for us as a teaser, kind of, to get us
Right.
interested in.
Right, right. So that we would want to buy their service to do that for their analysis, and then they ended up telling us, don't waste your money because you're not going to get any better service, any rate.
I guess the upshot of what I'm saying is that if somebody gives us a bid and we don't have any way of knowing whether the pricing is reasonable, kind of puts us between a rock and a hard place. So if there's a way to find out,
I guess that,
would be the thing to do.
will we get bids from more than one place? And then we'll compare like we do with all bids.
Other than AT&T, who's in town here?
That's it, we're locked in.
That's the difficulty I've had, is trying to find other vendors. And I think I tried, I'm not sure if it was on this or,
Frontier is not here?
and at one point, that is what, I think it was Clifton Larson Allen told me a year ago. He thinks that, whoever told me, I can't remember who, that's what will happen. AT&T will eventually tell us you gotta go to Frontier or somebody, whoever takes over the lines in this area. I can try calling them as well.
Well, we have to go to a different kind of service in the future.
I mean, eventually, it's very old technology, so,
Maybe we should be latching on to the new technology and getting various, if there's other suppliers of that, bids from them and what they provide. Replace it all. You're going to have to do that someday is what you're telling me.
yeah, I don't really know. I don't know anything about it.
We're too early for that.
It's kind of a big project. How long is the contract going to be for that we're talking about right now?
How long do we want it? Do we want it 1 year? How long will they give?
Well, if we're going to have to make all these changes, maybe it's better to have a contract only as long as when we might be able to act on changes that have to be made.
I mean, I can ask for 1 and 2 and 3 year rates, 1, 2, and 3 year rates and see if it changes anything.
And then if we're wanting to look at change of technology, then that needs to go to a different committee that can tie it all together with what's already here.
Seems like that's what we need to do.
To begin to look
Better
at
off
that.
being a step ahead as to be a step behind.
I think we should begin to look at that too, because like I was saying, you know, I've read and heard that eventually they're going to do away with landlines. They don't want that anymore. And like the technology is already old, so I think we should start to begin to look at that.
So, all right. Yeah, Anita, if you could get 1, 2, and 3 year. And then who's on the technology committee? Who's that?
Troy,
Troy?
it's Troy, I think Kyle, Dale Scholl,
Yeah, we should recommend to them that they start looking
and Russell
into
Bill.
the latest and possible avenues we have for the future. Maybe we want to change now, maybe we don't. We ought to figure out how long the next contract is, if we'd have to stay where we are.
Anything else on the AT&T contract? And office space rentals. I got together a map with all the who's where and what the square footage is.
I have some old information. Anita might need to tell us if it's even relevant anymore. It's from 2014. It's a list of our renters. Do you have this by chance?
I don't have it with me.
And then there's an analysis Anita did of, what's this called? Oh, this is maintenance cost by building. I guess this is not really
Well,
relevant.
Do we have all our rentals coming up on the same date? I think we do, don't we? July 1 or something.
Champaign Consortium, WIA, Head Start, Volunteer Services, those are all August. Looks like your regional delivery system is actually June. But that's a no-cost one according to what we've done in the past. So those 3 would be the 3 that would be coming up that have been charged rent in the past. You also have 911 reimburses us for utilities and stuff. Health Department,
Pays no rent.
well, they're a part of the county, they can't pay rent, but they can have they can reimburse for utilities. And
Maintenance costs.
Right.
which is what that schedule was. It was really, I think it was 3 years ago or whenever these all came up. 2013 is dated, yeah, so this is old. So it was 3 years ago when we renewed these contracts. We really wanted to get to what is the cost per square foot, which is, I think, $395 on that schedule, if I remember right. What is the cost per square foot for utilities and maintenance of this building? And so that's what that schedule did, trying at lease renewal time to make sure that our leases covered our costs.
Our biggest renter is USDA, but they're on about a 4 or 5 year lease.
It was a 10-year.
10.
And I knew it was long.
Yeah, yeah.
Say again, which are the three that are due in August?
Champaign Consortium, WEA, Head Start, and Volunteer Services. Now, who is Volunteer Services?
Right down the hall, you're on the other side.
Okay. And that's why I had Clyde go through and figure up so we know what the square footage of each place that's renting is. And Anita was going to hopefully have something for us by, I'd say, June. Is that when I asked you to?
I don't know, but I can do it for next month. I can start looking at it now.
As
I'll
far
take-
as increases?
No, I will redo that schedule that shows our cost per square foot. No, yes, that one. The other one is one that I do for the auditors every year, and if you look, that is actually as part of our audit. It's in our audit. This is not the lengthwise one, but the one that goes, yeah, that one. We have to report what our contracts are and our lease contracts and how far out they go and what the estimated income, contracted income is for the next terms of the leases. So that one I do every year as a part of the audit. I update it. Now the other one I haven't done. I haven't updated that, the maintenance cost or the cost per square foot.
Does anyone want to see these?
For 3 years. So I can redo that
They're
one.
old, but
I would redo it. I would probably use, right now, I would use really the audited cost through all of last year to try and get an idea, and then maybe I'd prorate. I think what I did on that one was use year-to-date, because it's kind of skewed, because we're through the big heating stuff. So you can't just prorate it. So I think I did both. I think I took all of the year before and then took the current year and prorated it out to try and make sense and make sure that it was reasonable.
Is the building totally full now of all rental space? Pretty much so, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know where we put anybody else.
Move Kyle back into finance.
I was just going to say, move Kyle back in there to the round table.
Move the dog back into treasurers, and then we'll have a space. All right.
Do you know that all of these three that are due in August are going to want to stay here?
We do not know that, but we need a figure that we're going to give them so that they can decide. So we probably need to do it sooner rather than later.
Do we want all three of them, or any of the three to stay here?
Well, that's a separate issue from setting the rate.
Some of them have a stronger tie to the county than the government agencies like us. And they do other, like, no, they're not up for date. USDA can be anywhere. Most of them are never close to a county office like this.
Well, and USDA is locked in for a while.
Yeah,
So.
don't have to worry about it.
But yeah, as to who we want here, that's a separate issue. I guess That's not my call as to who we want here. All I'm here to do is make sure we get paid a reasonable rent for the space. Now,
Who would
well,
make that decision then?
Is there someone here you don't want here?
that would be,
That I don't want?
Are there a problem with any of our renters?
I do have a problem with one of them.
The one you mentioned to me previously?
Yes.
so, yeah, and that's something that,
I'm strongly in favor of that organization, but this is the wrong place for them to be. It just can't be.
and that's something that,
But we need to talk to the state attorney.
Right. to see if there is a legal issue there or not.
Sure it is.
I mean, if there is a legal issue with it, then that will affect things.
I mean, I'll do everything I could to help them find another place, so it's not the issue.
So,
Not a question whether they're a good outfit or not.
right. Yeah, that's a, have you had a chance to talk to Mr. Devine on that?
But I can handle it pretty quick,
Okay.
because I can put him to know that.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to sign a lease and then
He says
have an
it's
issue.
all right, then it's fine, I guess. Personally, I don't see how it can be. It's a little, something that he should take on.
Right. That's for greater legal minds than mine. All right, is there anything?
I just want everybody to know that I'm not against that organization and what they do. Has nothing to do with it.
It's just location, location, location.
So going forward, then, don't accuse me of being anti-something that I'm not.
Does anybody have any other questions on how we're going to determine leases and stuff?
Well, we need to review all they all read, did we standardize those leases, or do they all read differently? They're all standardized except for the U.S., they all read differently, don't they?
I thought we standardized on them except where there were specific things that might apply differently to one or the other. So that's what you and I did.
We tried to do that.
And Scott Watts, and I
Right.
think there were three of us. So I suppose we should review that wording.
Would you happen to have that? Okay.
Copies of those.
Well, you want her to email them out to people on the committee so that everybody can review it before the next meeting?
That's a lot of, that, I guess that'd be fine.
You can print or not print.
The printer's not hooked up to my computer right now, I'm in a state of
So,
craziness. But yes, that'd be fine.
that way we save the county some paper. All right. Anything else on office rentals? We will go to maintenance supervisor reports. 5, he's on the phone.
That issue with invoices from Animal Pest Control. I'm sorry, I sound like I'm loud because I apologize, I got ear infection going on yesterday. We had an issue with Angel Pest Control invoices, got an invoice, was no signature on it, and as far as customer signature. And Head Start had approached me and asked me if we were still spraying for pest control. I said, well, as far as I knew, we were. They said they had not seen anybody, so I had not seen anybody. Their invoices were saying they were coming at like 7 o'clock in the morning. At that time in the morning, there was nobody here other than myself to unlock the door for them to get in there. So I don't know what the issue was. I don't know if he's spraying. I don't know if he's not spraying. What's going on? I called Angel Pest Control, talked to them. They said they would find out from him, and invoices that we had that were not signed by a customer, did not have a customer signature, they were going to write off of the book. So we don't have to pay for anything that didn't have a signature. We had 2 of them from Head Start and 1 from the lunchroom did not have customer signatures. And they were going to put on the invoice itself to let their technician know that he has to obtain the customer signature so that we know that it's going on. Since I last spoke to them, we have not been on the schedule to get taken care of yet. So hopefully it's resolved. I don't know. We'll find out when his next scheduled appointment is to be here to make sure that he gets in touch with me. I'm the only one in the building that can let him in, and I haven't seen him, so I don't know what the story is.
But that's going to change.
Pardon me?
But that's going to change. You've got a grip on it, right?
Yes.
Good.
Roof warranty papers, originals have been filed at the clerk's office, and the copies were mailed into the company as they requested with Kyle's signature on there. I did up the blueprints there that you have. I had a blueprint for the basic building outline. So, and I made up the larger copy in case somebody like me can't read that smaller one, you have the larger one. We had 2 fire alarms, both of them coming from Head Start. One was they burnt the toast. The other one was there was a young man that didn't like being told not to do something, so he decided to pull the fire alarm. Our fire extinguishers have been inspected for the year, so we're good for another year. We had a water pressure issue. There was the city had a main that broke a couple miles from here, Larry. So we lost water pressure. We were not able to flush any toilets. We still had about 20 pounds of pressure, so we're able to get pressure in the sink. I really didn't know what the procedure was there when that happened. The last place that I worked, we had to close the building. I didn't think that was an option here. However, Head Start, they have their policies that they have to go by, so they called all the parents to come and pick up the kids, but they couldn't have the kids there. So, don't know quite what the policy is there. We were only out about an hour and a half, so it wasn't a big deal. I got some, like I said, we had about 20 pounds. I was able to get water out of the faucet, so I was able to get buckets and flush the toilets that had already been used, but then we shut them down. So I don't know if there's something different than that as far as a procedure that I need to follow when that happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, but if we have that situation, I guess I'm kind of looking for an answer as to what the procedure should be when that happens. That's it.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for him?
I think to answer his last question, I'd say you gotta play it by ear. Because if it's something that's gonna be fixed within a relatively short period of time,
Right.
whereas if it's gonna be a couple days, then it's gonna be looked at a little different.
And that might be
Yeah,
it.
when that came up, I made, I don't know, 3 or 4 phone calls to different places as far as the city goes. Called maintenance, I called Over's Hall. Nobody could give me an answer as to how long it's going to be down because they don't know what all's involved in repairing it. But
If it happened in the summertime and it was gonna be down for several days, you could always arrange to get some porta potties out there and keep them going too.
I told the officers that you'd take turns going to the gas station. So.
There's different options, that's why I said, I think you have to play it by ear a little bit.
Yeah.
Anita is making the awfulest faces. Hey, we could put it right outside your office window. Right?
I won't be here. There are some things that are non-negotiable, that's one of them.
Porta potty.
we'll just have to sit down and see if we can come up with a plan. And then,
Yeah, I called Kyle, because I know you're hard to get a hold of a lot of times, so, you know, he said that was a new one on him, he didn't know what to do. He was gonna call the sheriff and see if it ever happened before, what they did in the past, but by the time all that took place, we were back on, he said it was only about an hour and a half.
Case by case basis.
yeah, I mean, find out what you can from the city and notify the different offices of what we think is happening and let them decide what they want to do.
Fill buckets with water, flush them, and put up a sign that says, do not use.
Okay.
There was a stack of buckets outside the janitor closet, stop, pick up a bucket of water before you use the restroom. Yeah.
Well, and that's where, are they pressurized flush valves? Is that why they wouldn't work at 20 pounds?
Yeah, it's the flushometers, and I think they require like maybe 40 pounds of pressure to be able to operate, so we were only running at like 15 to 20. So, like I say, we have water in the sinks and, you know, the janitor's slop sink and all that kind of stuff, but we just got flush toilets.
Maybe we need one old-fashioned toilet. Would work with 20 pounds of pressure.
When it hangs on the wall.
All right, Larry?
Randy Starr and myself, last week, worked all day on the doors of the jail, coming back and sent treatment. So that's done. The piping in the jail is done, the way they finished that up, so that project, 2-year project is completed. Shut off valves, new copper lines, the whole 9 yards. I got overtrained, they sent a contract, Derek signed it, but I haven't heard anything yet about scheduling when they're going to come down to go through that chiller over there. There's a sinkhole that's growing. It'd be east of the jail parking lot, in that lot over here. They got a flag in it right now, so nobody falls in it. But it's,
How big is it?
it's pretty big.
Is it,
Say 4 foot deep, 2.5 feet in circumference.
And it's getting big enough, we need to maybe get a barricade from the highway department to put, so people make sure they
Well, I don't think anybody's gonna be out there, but I mean, I got the flag out, so I think that's more than ample.
Is it tile then that needs
Oh,
to
I'm
be fixed?
assuming it is.
Okay. And it's our tile, or is it?
Oh, yeah, it's on our property.
Okay. So, who in this area works on those? You?
I would say start with the highway department first.
Okay.
Who? Highway department. They got the backhoe, they got the tile, why not?
Yeah.
And I guess, yeah, get with them and get it before it gets any bigger. And weather should be decent at some point this week if they can get at it.
Fire extinguishers, like Clyde said, are done. Langlois was here also last week and walked the courthouse and jail garage, fixing seams and cracks and what. He said he fixed probably half a dozen cracks in each one, but he said both roofs are extremely good shape. That was kind of good news. One issue I have, I got an expansion tank downstairs in the basement of the jail, and this tank is about 6 years old, and of course the warranty is 1 year old, 1 year. That tank will probably run about $650 just for the tank, and it's an expansion tank for the holding tanks. So There's kind of like a growth on the side, on the front, and there's one in the back about the size of a $50.
So it hasn't failed yet, but it's going to soon.
Well,
What's the tank made out of?
no,
Fiberglass tank available?
I don't know if there is, you can use fiberglass for expansion tape, John. I think it's gotta be metal.
What kind of pressure does it run at?
That I couldn't tell you offhand.
Because I know they make fiberglass water tanks with a rubber bladder, but then your bladder can still go bad in those.
It's not a big issue, it's in the basement of the jail. And if it does spring a leak, I can shut a valve off. As long as I keep it constant on the temperature on the holding tanks. And once if it gets cold and it heats up, that's when I need that expansion tank or to blow all my pop-offs.
Do you have money in your maintenance budget?
Well, I'm just letting you know, I'm just gonna write it out until it happens, I guess. I called Plumart, they said they can have a expansion tank within 2 days, so.
If it blows in 10 minutes, what will happen as far as services of water and?
Nothing. It's
Nothing.
just gonna be a,
This is the heating one, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
well, domestic.
It'd be messy.
Oh, no, domestic hot water.
Okay.
Like I said, the warranty is 1 year, and it's probably 6, so.
Anything else?
Yes, well, we're doing the fire alarm, or the fire extinguishers. We had a guy reading the meters for the water, and he said we used 74,000 something. So I started doing some checking, and Mary Ann gave me a list here, but this water bill for the courthouse is off the charts for some reason. He said I had a leak, but if I had a leak, this would be a constant. I haven't checked some of these, like an $1,800 water bill. That's ridiculous.
Is the meter inside the building?
Yes.
Is that a month?
Yes. Yes. And he said leak, if I had a leak, that'd be more like a tsunami than a leak.
A pond? I think
Yeah.
it's a similar problem at
Well-
home as well.
I'm gonna say 6, 7 years ago, we had to replace the water meter. We had to buy it, and we had to install it. The city goes up to 1 inch. This is a 2-inch meter. So we had to buy it, and we had to install it. So I asked Ken, I'm gonna ask City Hall, it's kind of stupid to replace meters every 6, 7 years. Something ain't right. But that water bills for the city, or the courthouse, is totally wrong.
And normally when a meter goes bad, it registers less than is being used rather than more.
Charlie's got it, I think last September, we had an $1,800 water bill. There's no way.
You got a leak that's creating a sump hole in the yard.
Well, but the meter's inside, because I thought of
Well,
that.
the meter though is inside, I don't know where the meter is, or the leak could be outside,
But that won't show up in the meter then.
because the meter goes only inside.
Right.
Something wrong anyway. It doesn't make sense spiking like it does there either.
I'm still working with the city and going through the process, but I'm making you guys aware of what's going on.
I mean, if it's really outrageous, then that'd be...
Well, I think $1,800 is outrageous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, even if the prisoners were constantly flushing the toilets, I mean, you'd know if they were doing that.
Correct,
Is this the courthouse machine?
correct.
So in September, this is amazing, compared to September 14, you're at what, 30,000? And September 15, you're at 256,000?
So that would have to be an open line. I mean, to be that.
But, you know, in a year's difference to compare, definitely.
I guess what I'm saying, well, if I had a leak, that chart would be a constant.
It'd
I mean, it'd be
gradually-
But
Right.
not just up and down what I got now.
I guess another question would be, when you look at the listing here, it looks like that the monthly water bill at the courthouse is about 9 times as much as it is there at the administrative center. Is that what it should be? Is that courthouse using 9 times the water?
Didn't think so.
Well, you got prisoners over there though.
Here's for the first 3
Not
months
that
of the
many
year, it's
prisoners.
about 9 times for all, each month.
I would guess it'd be higher, but I'm not sure 9 times makes sense. Because there's, what, generally 20 to 25 prisoners.
We had some 40s during the winter, but, I mean, even 40 prisoners, you're not gonna have that much water.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have, they got a stool, that's it. Unless they're very clean people and have showers every 15 minutes.
I mean, an average household only uses a couple hundred gallons a day unless they're doing a lot of laundry.
If the prisoners were abusing any of the water situations, the sheriff and the deputies over there would know about it.
Correct. I mean, they do checks every 15 to a half hour.
Maybe they have their own.
It looks to me like that's something that really does need to be investigated.
I agree.
Unless they're running their own spills.
Well, I gotta come up with, John, is that meter's screwed up again, and I don't see where we gotta replace and buy it. I think that's,
Have you talked to that company? Do they have, the meter company, do they have any input into
Well, they
things to
might,
investigate?
they might be able to check it, but you'd have to take it out and send it to them for them to actually check the meter. And you could do a rough check if there was some time of day when you could turn the water off to everything and run a certain amount of water into a barrel that you know how much it is and see how it matches. But, you know, that could be off 10%, and you wouldn't necessarily be able to see
well, I was
it.
thinking about coming like at midnight, well, and go down and look at that meter and see if it's moving.
Yeah.
Because all the prisoners are in bed, totally, and there's nobody in the courthouse.
Well, another thing you could do is just go back several years and see what the relationship has been between the water usage in this building and the water usage over there.
Well, I don't think that's really apples to apples. I know what you're saying, but
If it's 9 times more over there right now than it is here.
I agree, that's why you brought it to your
It
attention.
was only, say, twice as much 2 years ago or 4 years ago, that would be some indication that something unusual has happened. That would be some proof of it. If it's always been 9 times, then maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, but it certainly doesn't sound.
The norm is you have a trustee that washes cars, and you got laundry and everything else.
I can't see where it's a leak. If your November was half of what your September was, it should not go down if you have a leak.
My point exactly, well,
So, you know,
that's why I'm thinking it's that meter again.
and yeah, and that's how much per meter?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it's about 8 years old.
Yeah, I imagine it's several $100s for one that big. Well, I guess when it comes down to it, a new meter is probably cheaper than a high water bill.
Eventually.
And that's where, I guess if we have to order a new meter, maybe we can see if the old one can get rebuilt, and then we can just swap them out every so often. And I guess keep working with the city on it, see what you can come up with. If we gotta get a meter, you know, that's why you got a maintenance budget, I guess. How are you doing on your budget? Okay, so far.
What else I got is, when we redid the doors, one of the cells that, you open and close manually or with an electric motor. The gearbox and the motor was shot, so we sent it to Woody's to have it rebuilt. And I think it's done. Woody's got it done, so I think the sheriff's gonna go up and pick it up. And we'll get it back installed.
Where's Woody?
Gonna be by the dam.
Across from Zulasco on Washington.
I don't know if there's any correlation between what we were just talking about, but when you look on these figures here for the gas, gas is over there at the courthouse is almost 10 times what it is here. Then we all of a sudden got a great big bill. And the machine there for this month. Not sure I understand all that.
You weren't popping valves on your heating system or anything, though?
I was supposed 10 times more the heat over there than here.
Well, you got tool shed, you got garage, you got 2 buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's right, it's right, but I'm just saying, you think maybe 2 or 3 times might be the case. 10 times more is a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know what it's been in the past comparing them.
No, that's why I said if you went back a number of years to see if that ratio has always been the case, that might just help to justify it or understand it.
Well, I've never had an $1,800 water treatment. Not even when I had trustee. I mean, washing cars and whatever, I've never had an $1,800 water bill.
Right, but you might be opening up a whole area that needs to be looked at by checking that out to see if it's, if the numbers are right, they're right. If they're not, we need to look at it, find out what it should be.
Okay. Nothing else, Larry? Okay. Anybody else have anything on either of their reports? Claims. Everybody looked at the claims?
What's the, just curious, Goodman Communications reprogram credit card machine to fax line number? What's that?
Well, somehow the credit card number was eliminated.
The phone line, that the credit card machine for the circuit clerk's office was disabled. What was that, March 7th?
Oh, that was,
Remember that?
That's the same as the natural gas lines.
Yes,
The natural gas line was eliminated.
shut off.
Shut off. We didn't do it, they didn't do it, nobody did it, and the
And we
number
never-
does not exist.
Right, we were never paying, what we ended up finding out was we were never paying for that phone line. It was not Iroquois County's phone line, we didn't pay for it. The guess was that the gas company put the phone line in to be able to read the meter, and at some point went to another technology, and so they disconnected the phone line and quit paying for it. Well, at some point, when we added a credit card machine to the circuit clerk's office, we fed their credit card machine into that phone line. That was someone else's phone line. So they couldn't all of a sudden take credit cards. So what Larry did, and he called Tim Goodman, they reprogrammed it to just, instead of adding another phone line and paying another $40 a month for a phone line, we added it to, we changed the programming to their fax machine. So what it means is, if they get a fax, they can't run a credit card. But that's a minute.
Right.
Or if they're running a credit card, a fax might get a busy signal.
Right.
It'll just show busy
Work at it
and
itself
retry.
out. Right.
So it's no big deal, but it actually took me
Well, it's perfect.
and
Yeah,
2
well,
hours
well.
on the phone with AT&T, 2 hours to find the answer to that, and then Larry monkeying around another
See, that, the part that wigs me out the most about that is that we have apparently a phone line so the electric company can, that we don't even know is here.
Right,
That's the part that wigs me out the
Gas
most
company.
about that, or the gas
Gas
company.
right, right.
Jeez.
Well, that was, he told me the phone number, and I said, that phone number is nowhere in any of our ranges, a phone number. So, I mean, literally, that's the way it is to work with AT&T, an hour on the phone to get to somebody who would even talk to me.
Right.
You know, they transfer you to this person, they transfer you to this person, and it's not until they transfer me all the way back to where I started and I got,
Hot.
yeah, that I said, do not transfer me anywhere else. I need an answer from you.
Now.
Someone.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow, it just, the idea, it's a lot for me to wrap my mind around is that there's a phone line that people are putting in here that we don't even know exists. And we stumble upon it when we have a problem. It's like, what else have you put in here that we don't know is here?
I mean, at some point, it could have been there for maybe 10 years, or maybe someone knew, but I never knew about it.
Maybe that's what's happened with the water bill.
Yeah.
It's the wrong telephone line.
Maybe somebody else is suddenly hooked into us.
Any other claims, questions?
What was the one about a TV service to a cell? $108, what's
Is your
that?
$1,800 water bill on those claims?
So there was,
Service call to change the wiring for TV and cell.
When we were doing the piping, there's a light in the chase. Well, when you shut the light off the chase, that would shut off the plug and the TV and something else. So you had to keep the light on the chase, to keep the TV, the plug. I mean, it was just, so we had to run, D&D Electric came, and we had to run a couple more hot lines to separate more circuits. But having a light on 24/7 to keep these other things going was kind of stupid in my book.
I'm confused.
basically they had a circuit that was running too much stuff and they couldn't
Right.
separate it out. So they ran some lines so they could separate them out. So, okay. Any other questions?
Move to pay the claims as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Okay. Yes, sure.
Yes.
All?
Yes.
Half-Bargain?
Yes.
Behrens?
Yes. Is there any old business?
Yeah, just to return to the issue of the Head Start, does anybody know how long Head Start's been in this building?
That's just started.
Since what started?
They came, when we got the administrative building, when the county got it, Head Start came into the building then.
I think so.
How long have you been here, Larry? Since God
Long
was
enough.
building?
13.
And they've been here that long. And Gene thinks they were here at the onset, which was when? What year was that?
61st,
No.
so
1995.
95 when this building opened.
Yes.
FYI, I think your next management meeting's May 2nd.
Okay.
I won't be here. My wife's having surgery.
Okay. Can you just give Clyde anything that you might have as far as a report, if there's anything going on? That way, you know, like if your expansion tank blew up let us know.
I don't think it's gonna blow, it might be.
Yeah.
If he's got anything important, he can come to judicial, too.
Correct, huh? And is there a bill, anything needs issued, I'll go to judicial.
Okay. Works for me. All right, any new business? I'll entertain a motion. And moves to adjourn, second. Charlie? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried.